What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I want to give you guys some quick Atlanta Falcons news. And then I also want to talk about 3 wide receivers we need to watch for heading into training camp. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. Hit that like button for your boy. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys for continuing to tune in, continuing to share out my content on all the social media platforms. If you would like to follow your boy on Twitter, you can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, you also can follow me at Jew Talk Sports. If you would like to donate to my Cash App, it's the $ Jew Talk Sports. But I do appreciate each and every one of you guys for continuing to share out my content. Your boy is on the road to 2,000 subscribers. So definitely continue to share out my content and help my channel grow. But I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. And with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So first off, in Atlanta Falcons news, longtime offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and football coach around the NFL, Greg Knapp, passed away yesterday. So I wish him nothing but the best. Rest in peace to Greg Knapp. I want to give my condolences to his family, the Knapp family. From what I'm told, he had, I believe, 3 daughters and a wife, that are still here. So I wish them nothing but the best, and I do want to pay my condolences to their family. From what I hear, Greg Knapp was in a biking accident and passed away due to the biking accident injuries that he had from that accident. So he was 58 years old, so definitely young and definitely gone too soon. Arthur Blank, our owner, put out a statement yesterday about how great of a person Greg Knapp was, and wishing him and his family nothing but the best. Matt Ryan and a lot of players around the league, coaches around the league, and reporters and things of that nature had nothing but good things to say about a guy like Greg Knapp. He definitely made an impact on and off the football field from what everybody's testimonials are. So I definitely, wish the Knapp family nothing but the best. And I definitely hope that a lot of people show them love at this time. Continue to keep the Knapp family in your prayers. But with that being said, let's jump right into three wide receivers that we need to watch for heading into this training camp. So the first wide receiver that we need to watch for heading into this training camp will be Russell Gage. Russell Gage is a great route runner, a guy last season that had, I believe, almost 800 yards receiving. He was somewhere around 750 yards last season. And I do expect Russell Gage to continue to grow and continue to become, that dominant wide receiver that I believe he can be. Last season, he did have great chemistry with a guy like Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan and him on those third down conversions. Russell Gage was very key in picking up a lot of third down conversions. He kind of took the role of Mohamed Sanu when he was here. Russell Gage is a guy not only that can play in the slot, but he can play all over the field. He can play on the outside as well. And his release game is crazy. He's great coming off the line and releasing and creating separation. He's one of the best wide receivers on the Atlanta Falcons at creating separation. And I believe that's why him and Matt Ryan have great chemistry, because he knows that Russell Gage is a guy in tight coverage situations. He can get open and give Matt Ryan a place to deliver the football, give him an open target. So I definitely think that Russell Gage is going to take his game to the next level this year, especially without a guy like Julio Jones, who was traded to the Tennessee Titans. Russell Gage now is the number 2 wide receiver on the depth chart. And I think that his targets will go up this year. And being that he's going to get more targets, that's just more opportunity for him to show everybody that he's ready to be a starter and ready to be a guy that's ready to step into the spotlight. And I do think that he's going to have a big season. I don't believe he'll have 1,000 yards receiving, but I do think he'll be somewhere around that 700 or 800 mark again this year, due to us bringing in Kyle Pitts and having Hayden Hurst and a slew of running backs that we have in the backfield, I think that that's going to kind of keep Russell Gage from eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark. But I do think he'll be somewhere in that 700 to 800-yard range this year and have a couple touchdowns as well. Another good thing about Russell Gage that reminds me of Mohamed Sanu is his ability to play quarterback in the wildcat position. He is a guy earlier in his football career in college and in high school. He said he played a little bit of quarterback, and we seen last year when he threw that touchdown pass to Calvin Ridley in that Chargers game against the LA Chargers, and he also had a nice throw to Julio Jones in that Dallas Cowboys game last year. Even though Julio dropped the touchdown, it was on the money throw by Russell Gage. So he proved that he's one of those guys that's very versatile and you can use him in a lot of different ways. So I definitely think that we need to look out for Russell Gage. The second wide receiver that we need to keep an eye on heading into training camp is going to be Frank Darby. Frank Darby is coming in from Arizona State. We did draft him this year. He's a guy, when I watched his college film, that is very good at making contested catches down the field. He is one of those big play wide receivers. And I think this year, Matt Ryan is going to have another deep target, a guy who can go down the field. For his size, he is very physical. And like I said, I've seen plays in college where he had guys draped all over him. And he was great at making the contested catch at Arizona State. He is one of those guys that plays with a lot of energy on and off the field. He is one of those guys that I think can be a spark plug for our team and can get the team going at times. He's a guy that looks like he's ultra excited and loves the game of football. And that's something that I love about Frank Darby is his energetic mentality about the game. I definitely think that he's going to be one of those guys in the locker room that everybody's going to get along with because of his positive attitude and his energetic personality. But I definitely think that he's a guy that's going to be able to make plays and they're going to be able to use him in different situations. He is a guy that's going to be competing for that third wide receiver slot or fourth wide receiver slot on this team. But I definitely think he's going to make the team. He played for Herman Edwards at Arizona State, who, Herman Edwards was one of the best NFL coaches when he was in the league as far as discipline and as far as being a guy that held players accountable. Herman Edwards was that guy when he was in the NFL, and he's still that guy there at Arizona State. So I definitely think that, his grassroots of things that he learned from Herman Edwards, he's learned from the best. Herman Edwards has been on the NFL level. So I do believe that Frank Darby's coming in and does have that advantage of having a former NFL head coach him on the collegiate ranks or in the collegiate ranks. But I do expect a solid year from Frank Darby. I don't know how many yards. I'm not going to say how many yards I expect from a guy like Frank Darby, being that he's a rookie. I don't know how many snaps he'll get, but in case someone gets injured, he definitely could be somebody that can play both inside and outside, whether it's in the slot or outside the numbers, because he does play with great physicality. And he's a guy, like I said, that's great at making the contested catches, But I do think that Frank Darby is one of those guys also that can improve on his route running. I am going to be looking at his route running in this camp and in these preseason games to see how well he can create separation. When I watched him at the Senior Bowl, to me, he didn't run great routes. It just looks like he was a guy who didn't get a lot of separation on DBs either at the Senior Bowl or in college, but he was great at making the contested catches when guys were draped on him. So if you're a guy that's not able to, he doesn't have blazing speed or anything like that. If you're one of those guys that are not good at creating space, I believe he'll be one of those guys that's a possession wide receiver where you can throw the ball to him in contested situations and he come down with the football. So I definitely think that Frank Darby is a solid player, and I will be looking forward to seeing what he can do in the preseason and then and in this training camp. And the third wide receiver that I'm going to be looking at in this training camp will be not Russell Gage, excuse me, but Calvin Ridley. I did a video on Calvin Ridley. I'm not so much watching Calvin Ridley for what he can do on the field necessarily, because we know that Calvin Ridley is a number one wide receiver. Even when Julio Jones was here, on most teams, Calvin Ridley would be the best wide receiver. I'm more so looking at the way that Calvin Ridley goes out there on the field and how he leads these young guys. Calvin Ridley is one of those guys that is an excellent route runner, excellent at making contested catches, and excellent at creating space on his routes because of his speed and the way that he comes out of his breaks. So I want to see if he's going to be able to mentor these guys the way that Julio Jones mentored him, in the ways that Mohamed Sanu mentored him when he came in. We've always had great wide receivers as mentors. When Roddy White was here, he was one of those guys. Him and Tony Gonzalez took Julio Jones under their wing, and then Julio Jones returned the favor. When Roddy White retired, he became that guy that was the mentor and the leader in the locker room on the wide receiver level. And even in the locker room just as a whole, Julio was one of those guys that could talk to defensive players and the offensive players, and everybody followed him based off of him. He wasn't a rah-rah type guy, but Julio was one of those guys that people followed. You know, he led by example and people followed him. So I want to see if Calvin Ridley can become that guy that can mentor these young guys. Like I said, I know what to expect from Calvin Ridley on the field. He proved last season where he had multiple 100-yard receiving games. He eclipsed 1,300 yards last season, led the team in receiving touchdowns with 9. So I know what he can bring on the field. I just want to see what he can do off the field and in the locker room, and what he can do on the practice field as far as teaching these guys and mentoring these young guys and teaching them the game. Also, what I'll be watching with Calvin Ridley is if he can stay healthy, because Calvin Ridley has had some foot injuries and dealt with some injuries over the last couple seasons. Last season, he was pretty healthy, but the first 2 seasons of his career, he wasn't able to play all 16 games. He got injured. He had foot injuries in both seasons. And I definitely want to see this year if Ridley can be durable. Like we say, the best of ability is availability. So I definitely want to see if Calvin Ridley can stay healthy this season. Calvin Ridley is playing for the bag this year. He is looking for that big, enormous contract that number one wide receivers get. And I do think that he's going to exceed our expectations this year. I do think that he's going to be a guy that's going to get re-signed. We did pick up his 5th year option. We did pick up that option. So I do expect him to have a big year. I do expect him to exceed, like I said, the expectations of the head coaches and the coaching staff. Coming in, Arthur Smith talked about Calvin Ridley being one of the guys, one of the leaders on his team, and one of the guys he was looking forward to coaching. And I definitely think that Calvin Ridley is going to be that next wide receiver here that's going to be here for years to come. But with that being said, this been your boy Jew. Let me know what you think of the video. If you have a player that you would like me to take a look at, or if you have a topic that you would like me to hit on, definitely drop that below in the comments. I love you guys when you guys comment on the video. So definitely leave a comment. How do you feel about the 3 wide receivers that I named? Russell Gage, Frank Darby, and Calvin Ridley. How you expect those guys' seasons to pan out. I'll have a lot more content coming for you guys. Like I said, we're right around the corner from training camp that's coming up this week. And we're right around the corner from the NFL season kicking off. So I love this time of year, around that August time of year in September. But it's definitely time to get back to football. But with that being said, this been your boy Jew. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace.